This is the Laowa 15mm f2 zero distortion Z-mount lens, and I've had it over the past month and I've put in some real work with it. I've taken it to a couple of really fun events, taken some really interesting footage with it, and I've taken a lot of photos, and if you follow my Instagram at TGCalloway, you've probably already seen a lot of those photos. And I've also had the 14-30 f4S Nikon lens for the past 6 months or so, and I really like this lens. And the more I've used the Laowa 15mm f2, the more I realize how different it is on every level than the 14-30. It's like having two screwdrivers, one's a flathead and one's a Phillips head. They're both called screwdrivers, but they have very different jobs.
It would probably help if I had the right bit. This is a masonry bit.
I mean, the first and most obvious difference between these two lenses, Nikon's lens, the 14-30, costs $1,300, and the Laowa 15mm f2 is only $850. This is $450 cheaper than the Nikon lens. Now, that's going to be a big selling point for a lot of people. You should also know that the Laowa is a fully manual lens, and that's going to be a good thing or a difficult thing for you to work with. One reason I really love my Nikon Z6 is because it's incredible autofocus, and it's got really good face tracking, and I love the ability to just track objects. The interface for picking objects to track with, you can do it with one hand really easy. One of my favorite features of the Nikon Z6 by far, and you completely sacrifice the ability to use any of those features with the Laowa 15mm. It's fully manual, but that means you also have a fully manual focus, and it's completely repeatable, and it's got hard stops. As for the Nikon lens, it's focused by wire. It's all electronic, this little ring spins forever, and if you're trying to film yourself with it, which is one of the reasons I really like the 14-30, is if I ever need to vlog or film myself with it, I can just point the camera at myself and I know that my face is going to be in focus. But this little zoom ring is so close to the body, sometimes I accidentally bump it and then it goes into manual focus mode whenever I bump it, and then my face is no longer in focus. And that's kind of annoying, especially because you can't see what you're filming if you're trying to film yourself. So in that regard, if you want to mark on the Laowa 15mm where your face is in the zoom range, you can just slide to it and then point it at yourself, and you know that your arm's length, your face is going to be in focus, and you can move it down to f2 and get that nice blurry background for the perfect vlog camera lens. And because the Laowa has zero distortion, it doesn't look like a bulbous fisheye lens. The 14-30 at 14mm has like 8% distortion. It looks like a fisheye lens. There is software you can use to correct it, and all your photos and videos, you can edit it to make it not look pincushiony, but you don't even have to worry about that if you're using the Laowa 15mm. Something I really like about Laowa's lens is it has a clicked aperture that's manual, obviously, because the lens is completely manual, but there's a switch to go from clicked aperture to declicked. And then the iris is completely smooth. So here we go. Clicked F2 to F22 and declicked. Nice and smooth. That's a very pro feature that you usually only get on expensive cinema lenses, having a declicked aperture. So I really like that that is just a switch on the lens. For a lens that's only $850, you wouldn't expect to see a feature like that. Another thought on getting what you pay for, all of Nikon's lenses for the Z series of cameras, all their S lenses, they're all made of this really lightweight plastic, and I think a lot of people have complained about it. It seems like it's a really cheap build quality material. If you're paying thousands of dollars for lenses, you want them to feel substantial. You want them to feel like an expensive piece of equipment, but I mean, it just feels like cheap plastic. I mean, it's not. It is high quality, and if you know what they're made of, I mean, when this telescoping mechanism, it feels like a new car door closing. It's like, boom, like it's nice, but I really don't like the telescoping mechanisms in lenses. I think it seems too much like a point and shoot, like just cheap equipment. But that's my personal preference. Everything about the Laowa 15mm feels high quality. Even the lens hood is metal. Like the whole lens, very solid piece of equipment. Now that's a good thing or a bad thing. if you're concerned about weight, because the 15mm f2 from Laowa weighs as much as the 24-70 f2.8S lens. That's why Nikon is using the cheap plastics, is to keep the weight down. Personally, I prefer the high quality metal solid feeling build of Laowa's lens to Nikon's cheap lightweight plastics. Another big difference is going to be that Nikon's 14-30 is an f4 lens and Laowa's 15mm is an f2. That's a significant difference. And if you're doing like astrophotography or something, then I mean, really, you're gonna want to go with the Laowa. Let me just show you the difference in light. Right now, the Nikon, the 14-30 is at f4. The Laowa is at f4, so these are both at f4 right now. Here's what f2 looks like. So much more light. Another thing that kind of blew my mind with the 15mm f2 is it's essentially a macro lens. It's not advertised as a macro lens, but I mean, look how close the focusing distance is. It's like between 1 and 2 inches off the glass of the lens. The minimum focusing distance on the Laowa is significantly closer and within macro territory, while the 14-30 is just not. Now, obviously, one significant advantage that the 14-30 has over the 15mm is the zoom range of 14 to 30 millimeters. It's going to be a better walk-around lens. It has autofocus. It's lightweight. There's a lot of advantages for going with the 14-30, but Laowa's cheaper. It's got a better build quality. It focuses a lot closer. It's fully manual, therefore repeatable, and it's got a declicked aperture. I mean, they're totally different tools and they have different use cases. Let's talk about a couple events that I went to with these. I went and I filmed the BTS for a music video that was being shot a few days ago, and I took both these lenses. A lot of the times I was using the 14-30, I couldn't get a lot of the details in the dark areas because it was at f4, and I mean, we were only lighting the scene, we weren't lighting the behind the scenes. For a couple of the interesting BTS shots I was trying to do, I needed autofocus and the ability to zoom. But when I had a chance to set up the shot, I would try and use the 15mm at f2. And I just got some really creative, really interesting shots with like just really interesting blurry backgrounds and stuff that you can only get at f2. One of the most interesting shots was I was recording my friend Corey hand pointing an RE2K at the talent. But at the same time, as soon as he swung the RE2K around and everyone started performing, there was a dog on set and that dog started going crazy. And so I went down and I got the shot of the dog barking at the performers, but I wouldn't have been able to get that with the 14-30 because it was too dark. I was at f2 and I was already at like 2000 ISO. And now something I don't like about the Laowa is this lens hood is way too loose. A lot of my shots, you can actually see the lens hood was in the corners because it had been bumped a little bit. I would appreciate if there was like a little magnet that would keep the lens hood in its locked position, or maybe a stronger detent to just kind of click it in. But as it is, just a little bump easily moves the lens hood off, and a lot of people have been like dropping their lens hoods or losing them. That's really my only criticism of the Laowa 15mm f2. It's small, it's got great build quality, it doesn't have that stupid telescoping design that the 14-30 has. Excellent image quality, fully manual, solid piece of kit. I also had a meeting with Ari talking about the new orbiter, and I took the 14-30 for that because I knew that I was going to be in a quick conversation and I wanted to get some quick shots of the orbiter, and I didn't want to have to spend time focusing. I wanted to have a conversation with the representatives at Ari while also getting some good footage of the orbiter. So there you go. I really like the Laowa 15mm f2. A solid lens by Laowa. I'd really like to try the probe lens. If you want to see any of Laowa's other lenses on my channel, drop a comment. I saw they have a 100mm macro. That's pretty cool. Thumbs up for Laowa's lenses, and if you're new to the channel, make sure you're subscribed if you want to see more content like this. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.